everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Going Over podcast. It is I, your neighborhood-friendly coach, trainer, and promoter, Zack Primetime Reeb. Bam, bam, tired today, and I'm joined alongside, as always, my podcast partner, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. Hello, Paul.
What is up, man? I am also fatigued, tired, not feeling great. So just one of those, like, let's get this thing over with so I can eat dinner and go to sleep, even though it's 4:45 in the afternoon.
Man, I'm with you. I woke up from a nap, training, another long weekend, Limelight on Friday, WCWF last night, training today. Here we are at the podcast. Another long weekend. I got some good news, though. The good news is nothing is going on next weekend because it's the Royal Rumble in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And I saw the finished product of the stadium. When you do not have to get zoning permits through the city, and you have slave labor, you can put an entire stadium together. I don't know if it's going to stay standing, but no, it looks really good, man. I can't believe they whipped that shit up. That's like the Egyptians back in times where they moved fucking boulders by manpower alone, building pyramids. They're ready. Royal Rumble, Riyadh. We just had Saturday night's main event. I think San Leandro had a show. The Ugly Dojo was at the Press Club. East Bay Pro had a show. I mean, there was like 5 wrestling events in one day. UFC was also on. Busy week. This weekend was a busy weekend. It really was. And the good news is I actually do have a lot to talk about. So this episode should just zip on by, hopefully. And one thing I wanted to talk about was execution of finishes and what we're doing out there. We always talk about listening to the audience, but the execution of this stuff is just, it's so key. I was wrestling Ethan Reno, and he came out first. He was the babyface, and he came out first. And I came out second, and I was the heel. I was the heel, and he came out, and he just had just lukewarm energy. You know what I mean? Not a lot of energy. And then I came out, and that energy shifted. You know, the energy that the babyface gave coming out first shifted over to me as the heel, and I had to start getting my own reaction from the audience, where I feel like if I would have came out first and done my thing, then I would have left a lot of positive energy feeding off of my negativity to really bring the audience up for him. But I noticed, because it was the first time I really had experienced that in a while, was he just kind of had like lukewarm energy. You know, it wasn't, it was yeah, and the hometown crowd popped for him a little bit, but he didn't have a lot going on for him as far as like a fiery baby face. So I just wanted to talk about and get your opinion on it too, because it's something that I saw and physically experienced for myself. And I probably experienced it before, but the energy, especially if the baby face comes out first, and vice versa. But in this instance, his energy coming out was just, there wasn't a lot there. So how important is it that the opponent, the first guy that comes out the curtain, whether you're playing the villain or whether you're playing the hero, your energy coming out, whatever you do, whatever reaction you get on the way to the ring, is exactly it's going to directly feed back to either the baby face in this situation, the baby face or the heel in this situation.
Right. Obviously it's very important to establish something, whether you're the baby face or the heel, right out of the gate. It's one of those situations where you got to come out and you either got to get the crowd strongly behind you, or you have to get the crowd to hate you right off the bat. So super important. Like obviously I think about when Sergio comes out, and it's just as soon as the music plays, the crowd is already in a bad mood and like, oh shit, it's this guy again. I can't believe it. I hate this guy. All those emotions go through, and then he just adds on top of that by getting on the mic and talking trash to him and giving his spiel about where he's from and why the crowd should be happy that he's there and all these different things. So I think of that as a good example of what the heel is going to do to try to incite the crowd and get them in a bad mood and get all that heat. And then when the baby face comes out, it's going to be that much easier to go, oh, good, man, this is the guy. I want to see this guy kick that guy's ass. And so setting it up like that, I think, is super important. And vice versa. It's like when you come out as the baby face, you have to have some energy, and you have to a lot of people go, oh, don't go around and get the cheap heat by slapping hands and stuff like that. But for me, I think it's you're getting the crowd engaged by going and making that physical contact, so they go, yeah, this is my guy, right? I'm gonna cheer for this guy. I'm just not a face in the crowd. I'm somebody that this person cares about, and then when you're starting to get your ass kicked in the match at some point, they're going to have a reason to get behind you, right? This is the guy that came out and gave me a high five and slapped hands with me and fist bumped my kid or whatever it is. So definitely trying to get that type of reaction from the fans, get them engaged either in a positive or a negative way, and that's going to feed into the other person when they come out, being able to kind of feed off of that. So definitely, I feel like it's the responsibility of the person that's coming out of the curtain first to get some sort of reaction out of the crowd, either positively or negatively. So super important.
Well, it transitions into the match. There was just a lot of things I saw this weekend. I'm laser focused right now. Laser focused on what's going on. Especially Doc wasn't able to make it this weekend, and he had a family something he had to do with his family, and I got to do commentary. So me and Bad News did commentary up there with Josh Reynolds. So I'm seeing everything for what it is. And then last night there was just a couple experiences in the ring. One thing was we led up to a big bump, right? Like I'm giving the guy one bump. I didn't want to take the, with my finger being broken, I didn't want to take the rock bottom in the middle of the ring. So I took the rock bottom into the corner. And as I fed out, I gave him the spear. And it's like, it's one bump, right? You're giving this guy one bump. You're still feeding for him. You're still building everything up, but you're giving him this one bump that's going to be the bump. And he hit me with the spear, and the audience popped for it. But then he was standing over the top of me, and he didn't cover me. And it took me all the way back to, back to the Bakersfield Dome when I was wrestling Petey Williams, and I came back hot. And he countered and went for the Canadian Destroyer at the pinnacle of my comeback. And I countered out and hit him with a really quick, nice DDT. And I laid on my back and I slowly rolled over to cover him. And I remember going in the locker room, and the only thing Petey said to me was, he was like, "Man, everything was great, solid. But when you hit me with that, when you hit me with that move out of a big counter at the pinnacle of your comeback, going home, don't slow crawl over. You got to hit that move out of the counter, and you got to dive in and get a big deep cover, or the audience isn't going to this contest is over, right?" So Reno hits me with the spear, and he's standing up, and I'm like, "Dude, you got to cover me right now. This is your bump." So if somebody's giving you that bump, and you don't execute, you don't cover, you wasted the bump. So I kick out, and everybody knew I was going to kick out, obviously. And I rolled over to my stomach, and I had specifically said, "Now take the straps down, look at the audience, and fire up." And here comes the ankle lock, right? And he didn't pull the straps down, and he didn't go after the ankle the right way. Like, I was even like feeding him the ankle. So just the importance of the end. And I saw the night before a finish that everything was going good up to the finish, and then the behind the ref and the low blow happens, and then the big move, and the ref turns around, and it's a false finish. It works. But then the guy doesn't sell his nuts, and they get up and they almost restart the match and start running off the ropes, doing another finisher and a bunch of other spots, and they kind of get congested up. And I just remember saying, "Hey, man, we did a whole podcast on how to sell the fucking nut shot, right?
Right.
Barring the nut shot here and not selling it afterwards. If you have a finish where something is going to happen that the ref doesn't see, and then a big finishing move happens, and the ref turns around and you get the big 2 3/4 false, the next thing you're doing is it's over after this. We're going home." So I ran into a couple of those situations that I really wanted to tell the young guys out there the importance of that. Like, if you're young, and let's just say the music hits and you're a baby coming out first, you have to get the audience behind you, or you're setting that heel up coming out so cold. You know, they've already seen you and gave you a little bit of cheer. They don't care at this point. So you're kind of fucking, you're not kind of, you're fucking the baby at that point. Selling the finish of the execution, man, especially when you're doing something dirty to the guy and hitting him with a big move that could be a finisher, and getting an actual false. If you actually get a false, not a near fall, a false out of a finish that was set up and executed that way, don't wrestle for another fucking 10 minutes after. We see that on AEW all the time. Fucking guy takes a massive bump on his head, or goes through just something vicious and vile that should have put somebody in the hospital. And then the dudes end up giving you another 10 to 15 minutes, and it just completely wastes everything that you have worked up for. So that was the thing. And diving on that cover, man, if you're going to hit something big in a big bump, get on that cover. So I just saw a lot of things. I saw some matches this weekend where the guy started selling his leg, and the heel didn't pick up on the fact that he was selling his leg, and the heel's finisher was a submission hold on the legs, and he ended up going for it. But the guy is selling, the baby's selling his knee and his leg, and the heel never went to work on the leg and just started doing a bunch of other stuff. And then he puts the finisher on. I'm like, I told the guy, I didn't feel like he, not only did he not catch on, I didn't feel like there was danger. You were ever in danger. I didn't feel like he gave enough offense to make me believe that, or the fans for that matter, obviously, that you might lose. And he finished him with a submission move as well. And I said, you never even went for that finishing move the entire 10-minute match, and the audience was chanting for you. And my best advice was, go back and watch this. And this is to everybody too. if you're hearing them going, Paul, 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 and you guys never get up and you never break off uh, to be throwing offense, and now you've broken off and you're running and gunning and doing this offense, but the crowd has stopped chanting for you. Listen. I told them you got to listen to it, man, because when you know you're listening for the sound was way off in the match. So I just saw a lot of stuff this weekend, and I was able to convey this and critique this weekend. So it was a very good weekend, a lot of great stuff, both nights. And it's just one of those situations where I was looking back at it and I'm like, man, my eyes are very open right now to little simple mistakes that are going on. And that's what they are. They're little mistakes. I'm at the point now where it's like, it ain't even we always say it, but it's not even about the move anymore. I don't care about the moves. We always talk about, it's just the outline psychologically of what we want to see. And can these guys execute? Insert move here.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you talk about if your finish is going to be a submission on a body part, the whole goal of your the match should be you are trying to either get that submission hold or you are working on that body part to weaken it in order to get that submission hold at some point. So, we always think about trying to do something early in the match to kind of to tell the crowd like, hey, this is the way that I'm going to try to finish the match. And, maybe you fail at it once or whatever, or maybe it's something that you hit right out of the gate and the guy powders or something, rolls out of the ring. You think about the spear, for instance. You see it every once in a while where it's something happens quick in the match. The guy hits that, and the guy just happens to roll out of the ring. But you go, man, if he could have kept him in the ring, he had him beat right there. So now you're kind of fighting the uphill battle to kind of get the guy back in the ring and get back to that point where, okay, now I need to get that move. But now you told the fans, this is what I'm using to try to beat this guy. So when you go for it again and the guy evades it, then they go, oh shit, he was going for that thing again. So same thing with the if you're trying to finish it with a submission, if you're going for that body part, then it tells a good story, right? I'm weakening this body part, and that's the way I'm going to try to end this match. And then obviously, that feeds right into the execution, right? You're executing this game plan throughout the entire match to try to get this point across to the fans that this is what we're doing. And then obviously throwing the counters in there and maybe you get too keyed in on that body part and you slip up and get caught with something. So definitely things that you can think about doing, through the whole process. But when you go back to the big move and diving on and grabbing a cover quickly, I think that obviously lends to the believability that this potentially is the finish. So definitely doing that is of the utmost importance as well, just for the believability of the fans, right? You want to be in jeopardy of losing for them to think, that you need to come back or that there's going to be some sort of swing in momentum. So, we think about that all the time. I always talk about you give me 3 moves, I'll give you 3 moves type of setup in a match. And there's just no believability of that somebody is in danger of losing. So you can't really get invested in a match if you go, this guy isn't in danger of being beat. So, trying to get those aspects into your match, I think is super important as well.
Well, it's being a good heel, right? It's being a good heel. We talked about it on the last episode here. I also saw a tag match where the baby face who got cut off at the end. I mean, he just got the shit beat out of him, right? Like Guy on the outside is fucking doing it. He's doing what he needs to do out there to make you care about the tag. And it was a good beatdown. It really was. But he did something at the end where he fought off and he ducked like 2 or 3 clotheslines running off the ropes, and then even jumped into something and got cut off. And when he came back, I said, hey, that is the first hope after you get cut off. Duck twice, do something, get cut off. Next time, duck once, get cut off. Next time, come off the ropes and don't duck at all and get cut off. Next time you fight off, you don't even get to run the ropes. And then the 4th or 5th time, you're dead. You know, it was backwards. He had too much energy at the end of the heat. And I saw some really good stuff this weekend. Maple Gramps and Annabelle Sky. You know, I talked to him beforehand. It was the first time in 26 years that the women had ever main evented a show, right? And the way things kind of were laid out was I didn't think they were going to do much at all. Not much. I thought the run-ins and everything were going to happen like literally like at the beginning or maybe a minute in. And next thing I know, I'm seeing I saw a string, kind of like with Maple and Boyce, and it was very good. I saw a string of body slam, 2 big arm drags, a fucking hip toss that brought the fans out of their seats. And then the next thing I know, Annabelle Sky is in control. And like she's hitting Maple, and Maple's stalking her down because she's the bigger competitor, and then catches her with that head scissor that rolled her outside and hit her from behind, and they're running her into the poles, and she pulls her belt off and she's choking her with the belt. And then she starts laying into her with the belt, Maple laying into Maple with the belt. And then Maple ends up stopping her, getting the belt back. And I hear 5 minutes have elapsed in this contest, and everybody's on their feet going crazy. And Maple's about to pay back, get the payoff back with the belt. And here comes Sky. I mean, and just all the way to the finish, to see 2 women, just to see them do that and their confidence build up, man. Because you're obviously throwing it out there. And that's what I used to tell Dickie this, and that's what I told them. I said, hey, guys, I know it's the first ever main event we've ever had. I said, but just don't worry. Just go have fun. Try some stuff out. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, no big deal. You don't know what it's like to be in the main event until you get out here and you're in the main event. But those 2 girls absolutely crushed it. Absolutely crushed it this weekend. Also, everybody crushed it this weekend in some sense. The Preston Price and Chase Jackson just killed it. Just killed their performance, man. The Gator Boys versus the Unwanted. Such a good little tag match. And the craziest part about it was like it was kind of similar to the psychology that we did in Reno the weekend before, with Bobby Bayou being the big man. But I remember talking to Brian Joseph, and he's like, I said something to Bobby, and he said, I watched the podcast, and smiled at me. And then I looked at Brian, and Brian's like, I watched the podcast. Thank you for putting me over. And I'm like, no pressure, man, because now you got to go out here and perform in front of me. And what I saw him and Christian Sky do for at the start of the match, the athleticism and the wrestling they did, it's like when I say somebody has got it, and then I talk to that person before the show, and they say, I listened to the podcast, thank you for the kind words. And I'm like, well, now you got to live up to the hype, right? And then they go out there and do it. It's such a beautiful thing, man. There's so much young talent out there that just killed it this weekend. I mean, and another thing I wanted to talk about was I saw Maya World this weekend. She's dating the guy Ben Parker, who came and worked he worked Illumide, and this kid was I think they said trained by Dustin Rhodes at maybe the Nightmare Factory, and works for Booker T and them. But this guy. Athlete, athlete. They had a great match, but I wanted to talk about this because this is someone with like a barrel good looking kid with the barrel chest, young, 23, athletic, ripped abs, huge, like in the trunks with the huge thighs. And I remember, like, I'm not going to mention the names, but I remember a lot of the women, like the older moms and stuff like that, were like, man, wow, was that kid something to look at? You know what I mean? Like, I even believe something I heard was we would have liked to lick liquid off of his stomach, which almost brought liquid up out of my stomach, out of my throat, thinking about it. But it reminded me once again where, you know, bodies, man, physiques, you know, we hear it all the time. The guys that are out there with the big time physique, especially if you're young in the business, okay? Especially if you're young in the business, having that presence where somebody has no idea who you are and to leave an impact, like peeling your shirt off in the locker room. I remember talking to, I think, Chima. I was talking to Harmon Chima because that kid, I think he's only like 22 or 23. And I was talking to him, love that kid to death. And I was like, dude, you got to hit the weights, man, because you got something here. You're really, really good. You're so young. I'm like, put the other stuff down and hit the fucking weight. Come over here. Let me hit you with the horse tranquilizer out of turn my bag. Come here, sir. I want to talk to you for a second. You know what I mean? But the thing about it is like, get it in shape, man, because here's this kid. He's 23, looking like this. Everyone's taking notice. He's athletic as all hell. This is somebody at 23 that you're looking at going, remember the name right here, Vin Parker, because that kid is going to go somewhere. You know, you look at a guy same age as me. You look at Luster the Legend, great physique. You know what I mean? All those years, Oliver John had a great physique. You kept a great physique. Adam kept a great physique. There was a period of time there where I had a really, really good physique. And, you know, Derek Sanders, Kafu, all these guys, you know, Jacob Fatu's in WWE now with a great physique. Tim Thatcher has a great physique. Brian Cage, man, like that is the physique. And that it's a cosmetic business and that stuff matters. So I just wanted to point that out. Like, we talk about it, but the importance of like, and you can tell that he's in shape. And then he peels off his shirt and you're like, dude. And he don't skip leg day. You know what I mean? Motherfucker don't skip leg day. Faux show. And then I saw him do a leapfrog over Illumide, and it's like, dude, he leaped out of the building. And he's not taller than I am, so he's under 6 foot. And he's leaping up out of the building like he could slam dunk a fucking basketball, and not just like put it through the hoop, but like, hey, let's throw it off the backboard or bounce it up to ourselves and catch it. And whoa, look at that leapfrog by this kid. So just the importance of being in really good condition and these young guys out there. Hey, man, maybe I'm not in that type of condition right now, but I'll be 45 this year. Is it an excuse? No, I'm old. We're old. Leave us the fuck alone. But if you're young in the business, get the fuck in shape.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you just think about that's going to be the first thing that people see when you come out of the curtain, right? They're going to see your physique, and I feel like a physique can cover a lot of shitty things, you know. I can think of countless examples of that where you have a guy that looks great, and then you go, oh man, he's not that great of a worker, but man, he looks great though. You know, he's going to look great if you put him on a poster. You know, you're talking about ladies, salivating over this guy's physique, right? I mean, that's what you're looking for when you're looking for promotion, right? I'm going to put somebody that looks like people want to come see him on the flyer, right? You always think about putting good-looking ladies, guys with great physiques, interesting-looking individuals on posters where people take a second look, right? They walk by a poster and they go, oh, what's this, right? It catches their eye. It gets a double take. So, so you think about all the things that you can teach someone if they already have the work ethic to have a great physique. Uh, you can do so many things, right? You can teach them how to talk. You can teach them how to work. Um, it's a huge step in the right direction, and gets the eyes on you. You think about back in the day, with Vince McMahon looking for those types of bodies, right? You want somebody that looks like they're legitimate, right? If a guy's in a little bit better shape, um, for some reason you just look at him and go, "Oh, that guy looks like he can kick someone's ass." So it just lends to the believability if a guy looks big and strong, that they can do something in the wrestling business. So not to be overlooked. It's definitely one of those things where being in great shape gives you a leg up, an advantage of some sort over people who are look like your next door neighbor or some guy that you went to high school with or whatever it is. I don't know. It was the argument that we used to get into all the time, where people would say, "Oh, well, what about King Kong Bundy?" or "What about these different people?" And you're like, you know what? For every regular guy, or you have 10 muscular guys, you're gonna have fucking one King Kong Bundy, or you're gonna have one Kamala, or you're gonna have one of these big giant people for handfuls of other guys that are in really great shape, right? You're gonna have that oddity character, somebody that back in the day that was under 6 feet tall, right? It's like, oh, a small guy. Everybody had to be 6'5" and 250, right? If you wanted to be a pro wrestler. So, there's something to be said about that type of mentality when you base your image of a pro wrestler off of a certain body style. So, and I think that still holds up to some degree, where you have people that are like, this guy's a big in shape guy, and it's just more believable that this guy could be a pro wrestler.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, salivating, not knowing somebody's name and salivating over the way they look, that's exactly what we're trying to put on a poster. That's exactly what we're trying to sell to an audience, to try to get that audience from what it's at now to even greater. You know what I mean? Not saying everybody has to have an amazing physique. And I'm not saying this guy had the greatest physique I'd ever seen. Illumide has a great physique. Jason Xavier has a great physique. But in this instance, when you're talking about visually, everybody in the building that night, when you're looking at all these other people, he had the best physique, right? A good look, good gear, just everything. He was pretty sharp on the mic too, and it stands out. So for young guys out there, it's like, hey, you're in this business. You're trying to be one of the ones, because the percentage that you're gonna make it. And what is make it? You know what I mean? That was the thing with like Will Hobbs. Everyone's like, that traitor. He turned down all that money from Tony Khan, a lucrative deal, to try to go to WWE for less money. And it's like, if you're gonna be a star, if you're gonna be mainstream, if you're gonna be a movie star following or anything, if you're going to be Hogan, if you're going to be Rock, if you're going to be Cena, if you're going to be fucking Stone Cold Steve, if you're going to be that, which is not very many people get to be, but at his age, he's taking that chance right now. And I commend a guy like that. Kudos. Go there. I think they said on the internet, since they fucking give everything away, that his name's going to be Royce Keys. And it's like, Who gives a flying fuck what his name is? This guy's taking a chance because he knows I got to do it now because I can't fucking do it at 40, right? 40 is going to be too old. You got the opportunity to do it now. So go do it now. And then maybe you make it, maybe you don't. And it's not the booking. I'm so tired of hearing these online fucking cocks, man. These cock smokers online. It's like, at what point, right? At what point does somebody online who's never taken a fucking real bump in their life, never executed anything, never done anything athletic, sitting there going, man, they booked this guy to fail. They didn't book him to fail. He didn't get over. Fucking fat ass Dusty Rhodes got over in a polka dot trunks with his belly hanging over to his kneecaps, fucking cowboy boots, and Sapphire, the black lady who made the wrestling gear, was his fucking manager. He still got over. He didn't even know how to do a forward roll. You know what I mean? He still got the fuck over, man. I'm just so tired of hearing people go, this is the way it should be done. The booking was wrong. The fact that we let these people in the business, the fact that guys, and no offense, everyone goes, Triple H, man, he ruined my career. He held me back. Well, I bet he did, because he worked really hard to fuck the boss's daughter and marry her and become Vince McMahon's stepson and get up in the business. He's your boss. What do you do at a normal job if somebody's in the locker room bagging on you and talking shit behind your back? You don't want that person in your locker room. Get out of here. I used this analogy earlier this week. I'm so tired of these young guys going, hey, old man, how about you step down and let the young guys have a chance now? Could you imagine Nolan Ryan in Texas at practice and fucking some young pitcher comes up to him and goes, hey, Nolan, I think you've had enough practice pitches today. How about you get out of the way, old man, and let the young guys have an opportunity? Well, first off, I watched what Nolan Ryan did at like almost 50 to young Robin Ventura. He would beat a young person lifeless out there right on the field and get away with it. And when that young person came to, he'd say, hey, fuckhead, are you ready to quit being such a prick and let me help you to be the next Nolan Ryan one day? Oh, you don't want to? Okay, get this fucking person out of here, or we're going to make his life hell. Because it's not about the young guy being the villain going, hey, old man, how about you step down? It's about the old guy being the villain going, hey, youngster, don't you point your finger at me, and you better lower your fucking tone. I'll ruin your career before it even gets started. How are we, as the older wrestlers, supposed to be able to be the heels to call the match to help the younger guys if the younger good-looking guys are trying to be the heels? What would happen if a young guy told somebody higher up in the music, the movie, the sports entertainment industry, you don't go up to the boss of a major company and talk shit or get caught talking shit about him and expect to have your job the next day? That's not realistic. You're fired.
Right. Well, you're talking about Will Hobbs, man, and it's a guy that I remember, when he broke into the business, just this skinny, just lengthy black kid, right? That, wanted to be a pro wrestler. And I remember conversations that Adam had with him about like getting in the gym and then you got to put on some size and all this different stuff. And, even going to the point where it's like, you just need calories, man. You need to eat some Big Macs. You need to eat some large pizzas. Like those need to be some of your meals, throughout the day if you want to put on some size and get some, put on some weight. And then next thing you know, man, he goes from whatever 180 pounds up to 240, 250 within a couple of year span, and and it was like people looking at him going, "Oh, what's this guy doing?" I was like, "This guy's fucking eating a shitload of food, and he's in the gym on a regular basis because he wants to be a pro wrestler. So he's trying to look the part." So kudos to that guy, man. Nothing but compliments from me as far as he's concerned, man. He's trying to forge his own path and doing whatever it takes to get where he wants. Obviously, I feel like we all started off with that dream of, you and I was, I'm going to be a WWF superstar at some point, and the younger guys, WWE is the goal, right? That's the you look at that as the big boys, right? That's where I want to go. I want to make it to that level at some point, and as much as people will hate to hear it, a lot of times people are using AEW and some of these other companies as a stepping stone, right? A way to get your name out there a little bit. But your big goal is to make it to WWE. So so congratulations to Will for making that a reality. And like you said, who gives a shit what your name is? You're gonna be out there doing your thing, man, and getting worldwide exposure on arguably the biggest wrestling company in the world. So that's awesome, man. And I'm sure I'm just waiting for you to post your photos of him. When you were bringing him up in the business, and you knew this guy and your arm around him and stuff like that. Because I'm sure it's just a matter of time before everybody posts their Will Hobbs pictures of them hanging out with him, right?
Well, I mean, that's just the way things happen, man. That's what this social media does, and that's your thing. I feel like too much, everybody gets like a little bit of motivation, right? And then they set these goals for themselves, whether they're absurd or not. They set these goals for themselves, and then they go out there and they start telling everybody what their goals are, and they start posting 100 pictures, and I'm back in the gym today and all this shit. It's like, just go do it. Make somebody notice you. Make somebody at the corner store that you stop at every day to get whatever you're getting, or gas or whatever, go, "Oh man, looking good." Have somebody else ask you what you're doing. How did you, I hate that people have to get that instant gratification from everything. It's like, just go to work. Just go to work. You don't need to tell yourself what you need to do to motivate yourself to do what you got to do. It's like, I heard something the other day, and it's like, when we're at our lowest, when we have no boundaries, when we're at rock bottom, when we just don't care, when we're at our absolute worst decision making in our life, that's when we have our biggest circles and our most friends. Because when we're in that situation, those people, we make them feel good about themselves, and nobody's there to tell them anything negative. But the second that you have goals for yourself, people start going, "Hey man, where are you at? You don't want to drink? You don't want to do this? We can't hang out no more?" No, we can't, because I don't want to do that. I've got stuff that I want to do, and I'm heading in a different path. And when you head in a different path and you change everything about yourself, and you have a vision that you're going for, you don't care what other people think. I do not care what somebody thinks I can do or what I can't do. Because if you think I can't do it, oh man, what do you think about yourself? You know what I mean? Like, fuck, dude. If you're so infatuated with, "Oh man, Zach thinks he's going to take this wrestling company and make a living out of it." Well, I have for the last almost 2 years now. Maybe it's not the greatest living in the world, but I'm happy. My mental health is good. But when people say you can't do something, Zach, I go, no, you can't do it. If you who aren't even doing it or have never tried are telling me that I can't do it, what the fuck is really going on in your life? Just such misery just passed on. So when the misery happens, even to this day, I make mistakes and I try to like, hey man, check it out. You're kind of being negative, right? But I'm at the point now where I can finally, when they say that saying, let it go. Because when you first hear that, Paul, they go, let it go. And you're like, let it go. And someone's like, hey, bitch, what's up, you little punk? And back in the you gotta, you have to react. And then now I don't react. And the first time I did that, it ate me up inside, man. I felt like I felt like a little bitch. I felt like a pussy, a punk. I felt like those P words, man. And what they mean by let it go is you have to let it go the first time and it's going to eat you up. But every time after that, the situation gets easier and it becomes easier to let it go. And then finally, one day, you get so good at it that when somebody does something like that to you and you just walk away from them or just completely ignore them no matter what, it's just right off the shoulder, man. So letting it go is a great statement, but the journey, because there's a fucking journey to get to letting it go, man. And that's something I'm gonna get a little emotional right now. That's something I'm very proud of you for. And whoever says, oh, you fucking ass kissers, you idiots, you don't know what you're doing. Who cares? Who cares if we don't know what we're doing? We're taking a chance and we're going to learn from our mistake because we ain't going to do the same dumb shit twice because we may not know exactly what we're doing 100%, but we're going to get to 100% because when we make a mistake, we're not dumb enough to do it twice. So I just watching you and for myself and everything that we've done, and it's steady pace wins the race, and they can laugh at us out there all they want. But at the end of the day, it's gonna work out. And for you guys, you young guys out there, stick with it. Just a little bit every day. Just keep working hard. Things that I'm saying on here that if you listen to and get a little bit better, I tell everyone just punch the fake guy yourself. Practice this stuff 100 reps a day, just doing this, hitting your own hand a day, 100 a day. And I actually see the guys that come back that actually do that. Like if you can't chop the fucking light pole out there 100 reps a day, because if you chop the pole outside, if you hit it wrong, it's going to hurt your hand or it's going to hurt your forearm. Then you're going to learn, okay, that's not where I want to touch another human being. Like you really think about that. It's like if I hit this pole 100 times and it hurts my fucking hand, what is it doing to the poor bastard that I'm hitting in the ring? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, things seem so negative, but it's like the positive reinforcement every day. This last weekend, another long one. Thank God for the Royal Rumble this weekend. Let me know if there's someone dumb enough trying to run against
it. We'll see, man. We'll see. I'm sure that I can't imagine that there's not going to be someone that's running this coming weekend. But man, it's a great lesson just to think about those, putting in those repetitions. You know, it's one of those things where I was just having this conversation about one of my daughter's coaches saying, you know, work on ball handling for 10 minutes every day, work on jumping rope for 10 minutes a day, and work on your shooting form for 10 minutes a day. It's like, it seems like such a small amount of time, right? Oh, I'm going to get better by just doing these things for 10 minutes. It's like, yeah, you are going to get better because it's going to be repetitions of doing something, right? The more you do something, the better you get at it. And on top of that, you're going to see the difference because not everyone else is doing the same thing. So, I watched the strongman John Anderson. You know, he's talking about people like if you want to get in shape, just start with going outside and walking, right? And you hear it all the time. It seems like so simplistic, that's going to make oh yeah, that's going to make a big difference. It's like, yeah, you know what? You go out there and you burn an extra 1,000 calories or whatever, rather than just sitting on the couch, because most likely you're going to be sitting on the couch and you're going to be snacking on something. So not only are you not going to be snacking while you're burning calories, but you're going to be not sitting on the couch snacking. So it's going to make a huge difference. There you go. You can burn some calories that way. There you go. But the simplistic stuff that you talk about, just hey, just get out there and get some repetitions on doing some of this stuff. How many times people talked about cutting a promo in the shower, or when I used to go to the tanning bed. That was the thing for me. It was like, I'm in a stand-up tanning bed and I'm in there for 8 minutes or whatever, and just cutting promos in there about whatever. You're cutting promo about the guy in the gym, or somebody didn't re-whack their rates, or whatever it is, or a match you got coming up, or somebody on a card, somebody that it doesn't really matter. You're working on that art of cutting a promo, talking about something, and the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And that applies to all things wrestling. You work on throwing chops, throwing punches, throwing kicks, visualizing different things, like how things go together, watching tape. You started off by talking about that at the beginning, man. Telling people, go back and watch your matches, right? See, listen, all these different things. And I think of it as something that's so simplistic, and people say it to me all the time and say, hey, thanks for posting my match so quickly, right? And it's like, it's an unedited, very rough version of your match, but it's an opportunity for you to go back and watch and go, hey, what did I do well? What do I need to work on? And hopefully the next time you watch the same, a match from the same promotion, same angle, all this different stuff, you go, hey, I did fill in the blank better this time than I did last time. And you can go back and compare, right? Apples to apples, and go, hey, I did this better this time because I've been working on it. I've been putting some repetitions in and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that, I think that feeds right back into how we talk about continue to go to training, even though you're getting matches, right? You're working matches. That's not enough to get better, right? This isn't the old school where you're working matches, 7 days a week, twice on Sunday, and it's on the job training. We're wrestling, once or twice a week, and we need to get in the training school and get repetitions on things that we are not doing well, or things that we can do better. So definitely something to keep in mind. Repetitions are always going to be beneficial.
Well, I talked to Scoot this week, and I had a good conversation with Scoot. We were talking about when he started training, when I started training him way back in the day, how old he was. And, we just started talking about, in my recovery, and I don't talk about it a lot, because it's supposed to be anonymous, but it's just something that I'm very proud of, because it's completely made me just a different person and opened my eyes up. Like working with Ugly and working with Ollie, and I was talking to Scoot and I said, hey man, if you ever need anything, this is one thing I've never been able to offer you or been in the right place to offer you, but I'm like, if you ever need anything, let me know. And he's like, oh, you're always welcome to come to training or to a show and critique or whatever. And I said, no. Like, I appreciate that. But I meant, like, if you ever need help, man, I got a trailer. If you're ever in need of, like, I need an extra trailer to take something somewhere. I need help. But I said, if you ever just need something, some help, let me know. And to be able to offer somebody help and to be able to actually mean it. You know what I mean? Like, I actually mean, like, if you guys need help, if you need anything, I know 5 minutes remain in this podcast, but if you guys need help with it, it's like I always tell you, man, I'm like, if you need help, one time you said, hey, I'm not going to be home this weekend. What would you think about driving all the way to Sparks and covering my training? And I did, because you asked me to do it. And Scooch said to me, he said, man, it's awesome to see. I feel like everybody's coming together and it's really starting to become a community. And that's always been Ugly's thing. Ugly's thing's always been NorCal wrestling, the community of it. So it's just really cool, man, to be able to sit in the locker room and have genuine conversations with everybody. One thing I found out this weekend, one of my Andrew Cass is hilarious in the locker room. Like the things that guy says, I told him at the end of the day, I said, hey, thanks, man. You're hilarious. And he kind of looked at me and I said, I'm not talking about your work in the ring. That's great. I'm talking about me and you in the locker room talking about stuff that goes on the backstage TV when we're watching the matches live. That kid is hilarious, by the way, in a very passive way too. So Andrew Cash, you funny little motherfucker. But one thing I wanted to talk about before we go is wrestler safety. And this is with the fans jumping in the ring, because Sergio got so much heat that one of the improv guys, Tiger Chang, when he was talking on the mic, and this was something we had put together, the guy jumped up and got on the ring and got in the ring, and Sergio had him by the throat, and nobody did anything. You know, security was just standing around with their thumbs. Actually, like it made me believe two things. One, that if my security guards, someone could just walk through their front door while they're on the couch, clearly they'd be on the couch, and wave at them, and then go in there and just have sex with their girlfriend or their wife right in front of them. And the guy, whoever was working security for me, would actually just watch. Even if they didn't want it to be going on, they wouldn't have the balls to do anything about it, right? And I said, I don't feel like if any of these wrestlers or employees were in danger, that you would do anything about it at all. And then you got Sam Diaz. He jumps into action. I said, come here, Sammy, when I'm going over this stuff. And Sergio was bothered by this. And Sergio said, SoCal Sergio would have punched that idiot. But I thought twice, and I didn't want you to lose your venue. And I cut him off immediately, and I said, fuck this venue. And I don't mean that like I don't want to go back to it. But I told him, you should have laid the dude out. As a fan, as me, that fan would have not made it in the ring. He wouldn't have made it through the ropes. And if you're a fan out there and you think that you can jump in the ring, oh, that's the worst mistake you could ever make. And if you have security guards that aren't willing to protect you, especially if they're part of your company, those are exactly the type of human beings that you don't want in your company. Because we need people that if someone's beating my ass and another guy jumps over to beat, I would hope there's someone in that locker room that's going to come to my aid. I hope security is actually going to do, and it's not, I didn't have time to get there either. It's, I literally sat with my hands behind my back and watched like what, dude, would you watch a woman get raped right in front of you? And I know it's not okay, but something in me couldn't go over there to drag that guy off of him. Oh, he knocked him out and kicked him in the face on the ground. So I'm not going to get into that. We're almost out of time here, Paul. I'm going to shut the fuck up, which probably people on the other side of the screen are like, thank God. But you got anything for us in this last 30 seconds? I told you it'd zip by.
All right, don't have anything else, man. I know that our next show is until the 28th of February at Boomtown again. So excited for that, man. I'm hopeful that that goes well, and it's not going to be long until we start pounding the streets, getting those flyers out there, hanging those posters, and selling those tickets.
Well, we know who runs Boomtown. This is Boomtown, baby. Hey guys, hit that subscribe button, even if you hate us and don't like us, and you want to see us blindfold ourselves and try to go across busy traffic on I-80 at 5 o'clock on a Friday after work. For Zach Primetime Reeb and the Wrecking Ball Paul Isadora, we're going over.